Okanagan Sun Football with Ryan Waters.
John Helton joins us at the scholarship dinner. And John, first of all, I just want to touch on your CFL career. You're CFL Hall of Famer, played with Calgary, played with Winnipeg. Just talk about your experiences in the CFL.
Great experiences, just wonderful times and a lot of wonderful people. Probably the best thing was winning the Grey Cup in '72 and the good guys along the way. We had exceptionally good teams, and we had teams that were out of the playoffs by September. But you always remember the great people and even the opposition. And as you heard tonight with Angelo Mosca, what a wonderful man he is, and just a great ambassador for the CFL and for football in Canada. And you would only hope to do it as much justice as he tried to.
You miss it? You miss it, your playing days?
Oh, I don't miss it at all. I think that it's a natural evolution, that it's time for me to go on my way and let the young fellas come. Do we ever have some wonderful athletes in this country? And I think that the neatest thing, and I'll go back to '69 when I came to Canada, and I didn't like the fact that we had Canadians and Americans. We had a football team. And I used to always think, well, tell me something. Put those two athletes against the wall and tell me which one is an American body and which one's a Canadian body. And I think the league's really evolved because now we know we have tremendously great Canadian talent. These young people, all they ever lacked was an opportunity to play at an early age and to get good instruction. But you can't tell me that a Canadian athlete is a lesser athlete than an American athlete. It's just the amount of time they've been exposed to the game, and with our young kids getting that exposure earlier in their lives today, they are as good as any American player. And I don't care where they're from. We have some fantastic athletes here, and maybe one day it will be a Canadian Football League. But it's just wonderful what's happening, and the way the Suns have developed great teams with great coaches over many years. And it's just great to be a part of the community now, and hopefully in some fashion will contribute.
Well, you talk about now being a resident of Kelowna, moving from Calgary after 40-plus years, I guess, in Stampede Town. You look at the Okanagan Sun. We're here at the scholarship dinner here tonight. Just what does it mean to be part of this scholarship dinner and seeing the young folks not only play football but also get the opportunity to go to school and get an education?
I think what's happened is with our speakers tonight, Tony Spallettini and Angelo Mosca, with the head coach who spoke, I think these young men are seeing that there's great opportunities as students and as athletes. And I think that one of the things that we need to really impress upon young people is that they're not all going to be professional athletes. They're not going to all go on from their let's just say amateur sports careers, but they all have to go on to be men, irresponsible men. Perhaps a lot will be family men, and they need to learn how to be a whole person. And I think that the coaching that they've gotten over the years with the coaches and the good mentorship that a lot of the community lend to them, they're going to be fine representatives of Kelowna and Canada and the world itself. But I think that the best thing about it is they're learning how to be men, and that's the most important thing that I believe you can teach a young man, is how to be a man, and not the man that we see on TV, and not the man that we see in some kind of a perverted way that men are to be. I mean, you see real men who love their wives and their families, and they are honorable men to one another, and they grow in their stature, and they become all they can be. And I think that's what you get with this whole program. And I would hope that Kelowna have something similar for the young women in the community, that they could go on and learn the virtues of integrity and character, and that they have value as a woman, and that they don't have to be like they see on TV, or they don't have to be like they've read about other women who are women as a female, but they're certainly not women as say our mums would be, or our sisters would be, as our grandmoms might want us to be. And I think that's crucial, because I think our world is only as strong as our kids, and I think we're off to a good start. I really do. I believe that all they need is a strong foundation and a good model to follow, and then they can be great.
And you see that with the Okanagan Sun as a model, a springboard, if you will, for kids not only to play football, but as you said, move on and be a man and be part of a family? Sure,
I really do. And you know, I'll tell you a quick story. Warren Moon came to Calgary earlier this spring. And Warren is the only son in, I believe, a family of 8. So he's got 7 sisters. His father died when he was about 8 years old, and the only way that his mother felt like she could give him a male influence was to put him in football. His mom was not a professional at the time, but she went back and became a professional nurse. In the meantime, she had Warren go to football practice. Well, Warren Moon went on, as we know, to set great records in the NFL and the CFL, and I think he's a hugely honorable man. I would say this to you. As an athlete that played against Warren Moon, I esteem him to the highest standards because of what he's become as a man. And I don't think that your growth only occurs while you're in your sport, but I think it evolves as you become older. And I think that what he came back and told about 1,100 people at the Calgary Inn, and of course Calgary, was just was riveting. It was honorable and good. And I think that we all left with saying, not only was he a fantastic football player, but he's matured into a great man. And I think each one of these kids on the Suns in any football program could really grow to be the best that they can be if only we show them how. And I think that's what this organization has to offer, not only Kelowna, but it will spread throughout the world. When you have Tony Spallettini, when you have Angelo Mosca coming from Hamilton, when you have some of the coaches on this team that are from Calgary and they've come to Kelowna and they work with the team, etc., which I would certainly love to somehow become a part of the organization in some small way, just to be something of value, would be fantastic. I just think that it's not Kelowna. These men will go out to all parts of the world, and they'll leave their mark, and it'll be a mark that they learned and they developed and they matured, that they've taken to the world as a gift. And I think that's the biggest thing you can ever do as a human being, is to take your skills and take your gifts. You take your gifts as a human being, not only an athlete, but as a human being. You take that to the world and you help others to grow and be better from what you've learned. And I think that's what sports does. And it's the Suns, it's all the coaches who are in all kinds of bantam leagues and the whole. But that's what these men bring to these young children, whether they be male or female. And I think that's your only honor in life, is can you bring something good to children, because they have to carry us on, and they have to carry us on in the right way. And I think that that's been epitomized by the Suns. And I'm just new here, but I can see that Kelowna is a wonderful place, and I'm glad to be here now.
Did athletics do that for you? I mean, you talk about that. You were in athletics a lot. Did it do that for you?
I think so. I would say to you that I was probably slow on my maturity, but I can say to you today, when I look back, there were a whole lot of people responsible for my success today. And somebody asked me, well, what was your greatest time of your life? And I said, well, probably it was when I was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I was able to tell my mother and father and all my family members who went to countless junior high and high school games and who were always there for me, and people who supported me outside of my own family, and how my mother and father and several aunts and uncles and family members drove from Pennsylvania to Wisconsin, Madison, Wisconsin. They left on a Friday night after work, got there in time for the game. I had a great game as a tight end at that time, a couple of touchdowns, some good receptions and all that. And I was so proud because my grandfather passed away that next spring, but my mom and dad were there, my grandmother, my aunts and uncles, and they were all very, very proud of me. And so to be able to tell a lot of those folks who made it to Hamilton for that induction into the Hall of Fame that I was grateful and thankful for the efforts that they put through was probably one of the greatest honors I ever had, to get back to my mom and dad. And so it was just wonderful to have that opportunity to tell a audience of people, this is my mom and dad, and I thank them. And that's to me, if young men and women can get to an age at a point in time in their lives when they can really be grateful to the moms and dads and all those extraneous family members and others who were a part of their success in life, I think you made it.
Well, what are you doing now? What are you doing in Kelowna?
Well, I'm commuting back and forth to Calgary. I'm in the insurance business, and so I have a granddaughter that's in the insurance business here also, and so I go back and forth to Calgary, and I would hope that in time, I could give enough to Kelowna to get something back in the way of my work and all that. But I'm an insurance broker, and that's pretty much what I do.
Well, thanks for doing this.
My pleasure.
Okanagan Sun Football with Ryan Waters.